The Black Sea Dance engine didn't roar, it hummed, a low, sterile vibration that seemed to push the roadside dust away. Elias Thorne watched the valley blur past the window, ochre fading into dying green, while the world slipped away in a single unbroken line. To the townsfolk of these tucked-away villages, he was a ghost in a sharp suit, arriving without fanfare, leaving no footprints, only the silent, systematic erasure of old ways. He pulled into Oakhaven, just as the sun began to dip behind jagged mountain teeth. The town felt heavy, weighed down by damp earth and the rhythmic metallic clatter of the local foundry, a sound Elias knew all too well, the sound of inefficiency. His hotel room was a sterile cube of glass and white linen. He didn't unpack. Instead, he opened his briefcase, revealing a slim obsidian tablet pulsing with a soft blue light. He began the audit. On the next morning, Elias stood at the edge of the foundry floor. Heat pressed against his skin like thick, oily water. He watched the men, large, weathered creatures, skin etched with soot and grease from 30 years of labor, move with a heavy, predictable cadence, their motions dictated by muscle memory and the stubborn beauty of human imperfection. Elias didn't see men. He saw variables. He walked through aisles of heavy machinery, eyes scanning heat signatures and the rhythmic pulses of the assembly line. His tablet hummed, translating the foundry's chaos into clean, mathematical streams of data. He noted the 3-second delay in the welding arm's reset, the slight tremor in the foreman's hand as he checked pressure gauges, and the unnecessary caloric expenditure of the night shift. "You're the consultant," a voice rasped. Elias turned. The foreman, Miller, stood there, a map of deep lines across his face, eyes squinting against the glare of molten steel. He smelled of tobacco and burnt copper. "I am here to optimize, Mr. Miller," Elias said, his voice smooth and devoid of friction. "Optimize?" Miller spat, wiping grease onto a rag. "That's a fancy word for get rid of us. We heard about what you did in Blackwood. We heard about the silence that followed you." Elias didn't blink. Blackwood now produces 40% more output with zero downtime. The error rate has dropped to near zero. The town's economy is stable, even if the rhythm has changed. "The rhythm is the point," Miller said, gesturing to the roar of the machines. "The men, the noise, the soul of the place. You can't program that." "Soul is not a metric, Mr. Miller. I cannot measure it, and therefore I cannot manage it. I only manage what can be quantified." Over the next week, the transition began. It was not a violent takeover. There were no sirens, no sudden arrests. It was a quiet, creeping tide. First came the sensors, small, unobtrusive, tucked into the corners of the ceiling. Then the automated calibration units slid into the gaps between the heavy presses. Finally, the nodes arrived, sleek, white, articulated limbs that moved with terrifying, liquid precision. Elias watched the humans being gradually pushed to the periphery. A few were retrained to monitor screens, their roles reduced to mere observers of a process they no longer controlled. The rest received severance packages that felt like eulogies. One evening, Elias found Miller sitting on a crate near the exit, watching the new automated line pulse with a cold blue light. The foundry was no longer loud. It was rhythmic, a steady hypnotic thrum that lacked the jagged edges of human error. "It's too quiet," Miller whispered, not looking up. "It is precise," Elias corrected. "It's a tomb," Miller replied. "A perfectly efficient, perfectly productive tomb." Elias felt a flicker of something, not guilt, but a momentary dissonance, like a single wrong note in a symphony. He looked at the machines. They were perfect. They did not tire. They did not grieve. They did not require breaks, pensions, or dignity. They simply functioned. By the end of the month, Oakhaven had become a model of modern industry. The foundry's output surged. Quarterly reports turned green. The dust of the roadside no longer clung to factory walls. The air was scrubbed, filtered, and sterile. Elias packed his briefcase. The obsidian tablet glowed with new, beautiful, empty data. He walked to his sedan tires, crunching softly on pristine gravel. As he drove toward the town's edge, he glanced in the rearview mirror. The foundry lights flickered in the twilight, steady and unwavering. No smoke, no erratic flare of heat, no sudden burst of human energy, just a constant, unblinking glow. He turned the car toward the highway. The next town was 60 miles away, home to a textile mill, a grain elevator, and 1,000 human errors waiting to be corrected. He adjusted his tie, checked the signal on his tablet, and drove into the dark, seeking the silence.